What's up guys, Perry here, and we are back with another Anime Defenders video. In today's video, we're going to be doing an update 4 tier list for Anime Defenders. So I took the liberty of adding all the mythics, all the secrets, all the support units, and any units of note into this tier list. We're going to be ranking them from worst to best, S tier being the best. Right below S tier we have meta support, right below support we have support, then A, B, C, D. And, you know, D tier, absolute garbage, never used this. C tier, mid. B tier, kinda usable, but it's situational. A tier, good. S tier, meta, and you know, support speaks for itself. So, with all that being said, let's get right into this ranking with Ant King unlocked. This guy is gonna go at C tier for me, C or D tier. And the reason that I say this, number one, he's a ground unit, which means he can't hit airs. That's already taken away some points from him. And he does decent damage for a mythical, don't get me wrong. This guy will carry you through story, no problem. But like I said, no hybrid. He's not going to be able to beat the later story modes. And his damage just doesn't scale up with the other units that we have on this list. And, you know, that's self-explanatory since he was on here since update 0. He's a pretty outdated unit. He's only going to get worse as time goes on. By update 5, he might be at D tier. Or, you know, he might just stay at C tier. But yeah. Next up, we have Bloomer, or Bulma, and she is support. I'm not going to put her in meta support because we have the addition of some new farm units that are just outright better than her. But I still think that she's a must-have unit for literally anyone. She's epic, so she's insanely easy to get. She's one of the only farm units in the game, so you'd be dumb not to have her. Like, you should have at least one copy of her at all times. And you know, you can put Golden Spirit on her, you can put Midas Touch on her, make some extra money. There's nothing wrong with a Bulma. She's not the best support unit in the game, she's still a must-have. Very, very solid support. Now we are at Prime Commander, or Prime Garp. I don't know why these names keep fluctuating every update. You know, the devs must live every day with the fear of God that they're gonna get copyright striked, but yeah. This dude is also going into C tier, and here's why. Prime Garp on release used to be the GOAT. He used to be one of the best units. You needed this guy for leaderboard, you needed this guy for everything. He was full AoE, he did crazy damage, and you know, he's still doing decent damage for a mythical at max level, despite the fact that he's an update 0 mythical, which means he's pretty old. He's outdated. Alright, he's expensive, he has a long SPA, he's not even a hybrid. He just gets completely outclassed in this category of full AoE units. This guy just gets beaten, like he just gets blown out of the water by some of the other things that we're gonna see in this list. Nonetheless, do I think you should get him? Nah, not worth the evil materials, nor is he worth the gems. If you just started the game, there are better mythics out there that will serve you well and will probably be more versatile than this guy. So he's gonna be going at C tier. Next up, we have Pink Demon Mage. She is meta support. She was recently added in Update 4 as one of the new standard banner units. And if you don't know what she does, she basically has this ability every 30 or 45 seconds, I forgot. I don't know how many seconds, but basically she can catch up to 10 units in her radius. Every unit in her radius is going to get hit with a really, really fat slow effect, and she's going to make money at the same time. So she doubles a support and a stall unit, and she makes probably the most money out of any of the other farm units. I believe that's what the devs said. They were like, if you utilize her properly, she's 25% better than the other supports. I was like, okay, that makes sense. She is a mythical after all. So yeah, if you evolve her, you get more money. Once again, get Golden Spirit and get Midas Touch on her for the maximum income possible. And she is a must-have meta support. Next up, we have Curse Lord, or Curse King. I swear his name used to be Curse King. In my last update, I had this guy at A tier, but we're going to be knocking him down a peg to B tier. Don't get me wrong, he's still an incredibly good unit. In fact, I want to put him at A tier, but he's not A tier. Not anymore. He's still very, very good though. He's hybrid, meta bleed. This guy's really good for crit builds because all of his attacks have multi-hit, or like most of his attacks have really fat multi-hit attacks. So you're going to be proccing critical a lot. This guy is personally one of my favorite mythics in the game, but I'm not going to let bias cloud my judgment here. He's not that good anymore. He's not full AoE, and He's only 3 placement, and his damage is just starting to fall behind, so honestly, this guy is gonna get a B tier, and he might get demoted as time goes on, but for now, he sits at B tier comfortably. Now we have Dragon Wizard. This guy's S tier. Automatic S tier. So this bad boy is one of the new secret units that got added into Update 4. Also, did I say that she got added into Update 4? I lied. I meant Update 3. My bad. Anyways, what was I saying? Dragon Wizard, this guy is super duper new. He just got added. He's one of the new secrets that you can get through the portals. He's hybrid. He does absolutely insane damage. I don't even have him, but I've seen like showcases and stuff on him. And apparently he's doing like 100,000 damage without Almighty. He's 2 placement and he's expensive though. He costs 5k to place. But this guy is probably the highest damaging secret, if not like one of the highest damaging secrets in the game. So he's a must-have for damage runs, leaderboard runs. Gonna be pretty useful in things like raids, all that like end game content type stuff. And like I said, he's hybrid, so he can hit anything. He does burn damage, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, automatic S tier, insane damage. Probably one of the best current DPS that we have in the game. He's gonna sit very, very easily at S tier. And now we're moving on to Donut Master. Now, this guy's meta support. I was debating whether I should put this guy at like just normal support or meta support, but nah, he deserves meta support. He is a relatively cheap slow unit. He costs like 1350 to place. You can place 3 of him. He's a hybrid, so he can hit air and ground. He has a pretty decent attack pattern, all things considered. And yeah, I don't know what much more there is to be said about him. He's just a good slow unit. Albeit he's a little bit annoying to get because he's a limited unit. So, you know, the only way for you to get him nowadays is to trade for him. And he costs a good chunk of gems. Like, you're going to need to cough up at least like 15k, 20k gems if you want to get this guy nowadays. And he's only going to get more expensive. But he's good at what he does. And trading aside, he's good. So, meta support. Next up, Legion Veteran. She is going into support. I don't think she's meta support, because she's not like a must have. The buff that she gives is pretty good. I believe she gives a range buff or an SPA buff. Not 100% sure. I'll check on the wiki in a few seconds, but yeah. She's hybrid, decent damage, and she buffs units with her ability. But at the same time, her buff isn't anything extraordinary. It's not as good as some of the buffs that we're going to look at later that some units just already have. But she's still not a bad unit by any stretch of the imagination. There we go. And I finally found out what she does. So she has Veteran's Blessing, which makes it so your units have 20% more range. You know, more range is nice, but it's not a game changer. You know, if you have a secret or a meta mythic unit or a meta exclusive unit, they're going to have enough range regardless. This isn't going to be breaking any world records here. She's going to sit at support because, you know, she still gives your units a buff. She can hold her own. She's hybrid. She's either between A or support, but I'm leaning more towards support because no one's really going to be using her as their main DPS if they have a better option, you know. Up next, we have Elf Hero. Now, I'm going to put her... I'm tempted to put her at the top of C tier. And here's why. She's not amazing. She was here since Update 0, like most of the mythics that you're going to be seeing in the lower tiers. And she used to be super meta. She does full AoE once she's max upgrade, but she's not hybrid, which is unfortunate. But like some of these units, I don't get why they didn't make them hybrid. Like, why is Ant King not a hybrid? He literally has wings. He has a jetpack that he flies around in. And Elf Hero is supposed to be Freerin. This is a mage. Like, she should be able to hit air units, but I digress. The reason that she's C tier, number one, her range kind of sucks for a mythic. Like, even on max upgrade, it leaves a lot more to be desired. Her damage is decent, but like I said, she falls into that category of full AoE units, and she just gets completely outclassed by other full AoE units that are cheaper, do more damage, are hybrid, do the job better. There's a case to be made for her going into B tier, but I'm just gonna put her at the top of C tier. Don't summon for her. She's fallen out of the meta. Not that good anymore. Up next, we have Unstable Esper. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to be putting him in D tier. Now, he is a hybrid unit, so he does have a few things going for him. And that is about all that he has going for him. He's pretty expensive. He's a 4 placement unit. He has some fat range, like some big range on some of his later upgrades. But then once you max him out, he loses that range, which is a little odd. But yeah, he's pretty expensive for what he does. And although he's a 4 placement hybrid, there are other hybrids on this list that are cheaper, do more damage, are more versatile. And he just gets outclassed. Utterly and absolutely. That's why he's going to be going at D tier. Don't get this guy. If you want to have him, I'll tell you his cosmetic is pretty cool. But that's about it. So up next we have Legion Captain. Or Legion Commander. This is the heal unit girl. I'm tempted to put her at S tier. Or meta support or A tier. I'm going to put her at A tier. And the reason I'm not going to be putting her at S tier... Actually, no, I'm dumb. We have to put her in S tier, dude. She has one of the best ranges in the game out of any unit. She does extremely good damage. Not as good as a secret, but she's getting there. With Almighty, she's doing crazy damage, but you know, you could like put Almighty on a piece of shit and it'll be better, right? Like this doesn't help her, but what I'm trying to say is she's good. She's a very good unit, heal unit. She's going to be doing more damage to air units, and she can hit ground units, obviously. She attacks pretty fast. Her buff is actually pretty substantial. Let me look up on the wiki what her buff does. So Legion Captain has an ability called Beam Barrage. Oh, it's not a buff. I remember this. Yeah. She has like this huge triple beam attack that looks like something from Bleach. From like Stark when he had like Zero, the big fat Zero. That's what she has. And it does some crazy damage. And it has huge range. And I'm also forgetting to mention, she's the second unit in the game that has a summoning ability, besides Sung Jin Woo, which does make her pretty unique. It adds a little bit more damage to her, makes her a little bit more consistent. I'd be dumb not to put her in S tier. She's really, really good. Next up, we have Muscular Sorcerer. Now, this guy was never good. Like, even when he came out, sure he was good damage, but he was, like, on max upgrade, he's a line AoE. His damage isn't even that crazy. So, I can't put him in A tier, honestly. He's going to be sitting at B tier. And the reason why, like I said, he's a ground unit, can't hit airs. His max upgrade is line AoE, dude. Oh my goodness, that just hurts this unit so bad. Any unit that has line AoE on their max upgrade, like you're selling the game. You're cooked. Because you're missing out on so much more like potential damage if you had literally any other attack pattern. Line AoE is just the worst in this game. So he's gonna sit in B tier. He does okay damage, better than some of the dudes down here. I'd say he has better DPS than them for sure, but still he's not all that. Up next we have Crimson Demon Ninja, and this guy's gonna be our first A tier of the video. He's basically, I'm not gonna say he's a better Natsu. You guys have changed my opinion on that. I do think Natsu's better than him. Personally, like my personal opinion, I like this guy better than Natsu. That's just personal preference. They're interchangeable, but if you go, like if you want to be nitpicky about it and go like, you know, exact DPS for DPS, I think Natsu's better, but we're going to get to that later. This guy is A tier. He's meta burn, hybrid unit, good damage, pretty cheap. He only costs $850 to place. And you can't go wrong with this guy. If you're a beginner and you get this guy, make sure you evolve him because he's pretty good. He'll carry you through all his story. He'll be versatile in basically any game mode. He's gonna sit at A tier. Next up we have Chief of Ice. He's going in support. Chief of Ice, aka Akoji. He's the Ice Admiral from One Piece. His max upgrade is a full AoE, which is nice, and it's a slow. So, you know, if you're a beginner, get this guy. I'll give you guys a little personal story of mine. This guy was the first ever legendary that I ever got, and I used him to beat the entirety of story mode back in update 0. I know that was like, you know, back in my day. I'm sitting down telling you guys some Unk stories. Sit by the campfire. And let me tell you some stories about back when things were simpler. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So, this guy's support, he's good. Not the best, but still decent support, especially for beginners. Water Grandmaster. Now, I believe this guy is not hybrid, but he does pretty good damage, and he has good AoE. I'm leaning more towards putting him as a meta ground unit, so for that, he's going to sit at A tier. I don't have him myself, I've only seen showcases of him. The reason I never go for raid units is because they cost a very, very valuable resource, much more valuable than any other item in the game, and that is time. These guys take a good amount of time to grind out, and I really just don't want to sit here and do raids for hours for a unit that I'm only going to make a singular video on. I'm probably just going to buy this guy because I'm pretty sure you can, but anyways, he does good damage, good AoE attacks. He's not full AoE, but he has a pretty big circle AoE once he's max, and he's going to be at A tier. Next up, Flame Dragon God. We're going to put this guy at the very tippity top of A tier. And here's why. Wait. Whoopsies, my bad. Let me put Donut Master back. There we go. So, yeah. Natsu, aka Flame Dragon God. We're going to put him at the top of A tier. He is currently the best burn unit in the game. The best mythical burn unit in the game. Right? I think so. His DPS is really good. His burn damage absolutely carries him. He's a hybrid. He has good SPA. He's 4 placement. I believe he's 4 placement. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he is. And I think statistically he's better than this guy. So yeah, just anything that I said about Crimson Demon Ninja applies to Natsu, but better. So yeah, he's going to be at A tier. Bear King. I think this guy might take the spot for top of A tier. And here's why. He's 4 placement. He's cheap to place. I think he's only 850 off placement. He does bleed damage, which means he's meta bleed. He's hybrid. Did I say he's hybrid already? I probably did. And on his max upgrade, he is full AoE. So he just outclasses Curse Prince absolutely in every sense of the word. This guy is meta bleed. Very, very good unit to have on your team. I personally don't have this guy yet. Once again, because he's a raid unit, so he's a little time consuming to get. I'm probably just going to buy a shiny version of him. But he's very, very good. He's going to get an easy A tier from me. Next up, we have Ice Dragon Queen. She is easily going into meta support. She was one of the new units added into the standard banner in Update 3, I believe. And, you know, the cool thing about her is her slow ability isn't like the traditional slows that we had in the game before. Instead of making the enemies walk slower, she just outright freezes them in place. Whether that's better or worse than what we had previously, I don't know, but I personally like it better. So she is meta support. Better than Katakuri in my opinion, because although she's more expensive, she's going to be doing more damage. And she's a hybrid just like him. And her max upgrade is full AoE, which is very, very nice. So yeah, she's meta support, must-have support unit in my opinion. She will sit very, very comfortably at meta support. Next up, we have Proficient Sharpshooter. Now, I'm not going to lie. I used to think she was a Z tier unit. I thought she was garbage. But honestly, I think she deserves B tier. And probably above Monster Sorcerer. And here's why I say this. Number one, she's a heal unit, so she'll be doing more damage to airs. She has really, really good range, as all heal units do. And she's pretty good for crit builds because most of her attacks have a lot of multi-hit, like 10 type multi-hit attacks, you know what I'm trying to say? Like her max upgrade does like a big lightning beam that she shoots from the sky and it hits the enemies like 10 or 12 times. So if you have crit or precision on her, you will be doing some very, very good damage. I do believe she's good enough to carry you through all of story mode. The reason that she's not ranked any higher is just because her damage doesn't stack up with some of the other units that we have here. And honestly, I don't even know if Water Grandmaster deserves to be an A tier. I really don't. You know what, guys? I'm putting this guy in the top of B tier, and I'm going to put Proficient Sharpshooter at the bottom of A tier. And the reason I'm doing this is because she's more versatile, because she can hit air and ground, and she has more range. Sure, this guy's going to be doing more damage, but honestly, like, I really do believe that she deserves to be an A tier. Alright guys, I'm back. I had to take a quick water break, but now we're at Skull Paladin. And I know a lot of you guys are going to have a soft spot I know a lot of you guys are gonna have a soft spot in your hearts for this guy because he used to be really, really good for starters, and you know, he's still good for starters, but I'm not giving him any pity points. This guy's one of the worst mythics in the game. Sure, he's fully AoE off placement. That's not gonna matter much when your damage is ass. Like, for a mythic unit, this guy's damage does not stack up at all. And he's also ground only, so he can't hit airs. He's cheap, and he will definitely carry you through story. He's okay for Tower of Eternity. I've done a unit review on him. He's not horrendous, but like, if we're stacking him up against all the other units that are good in this game, he does not fare well at all. So he's gonna go in D tier. Anyways, next up we have Demon King Peak, and this guy is another easy S tier, and I'll explain why. Number one, he's a 4 placement secret. I believe he is the only secret in the game that has that. He doubles his meta support because he slows on hit. I believe he does burn damage too on some of his later upgrades. And I think I said that he's hybrid already, right? Yeah, he does insanely good damage, 4 placement, super versatile. And he doubles his support, meta support, mind you. You have to put this guy in S tier. He's just insanely good. That can be said about most secrets. Up next, we have Thunder God. Ooh, this guy's going at the middle of D tier. He's not that good either. Don't get me wrong, I like this guy. I like the cosmetic that he has when he's shiny. And I really like the way that his attack animations work. He spawns like a big Susanoo because this guy's supposed to be Sasuke. Like, in terms of how aesthetically pleasing he is, I love him. But he sucks. He's pretty expensive. I think he's 4 placement, but his damage just isn't as good as the rest of the other units. Like, even on release, he wasn't that good. And, you know, safe to say he's not that good now. Next up, Muscular Sorcerer Enhanced. I'm probably gonna put this guy at the top of B tier. And here's why. He's not insane. No, he's not like really doing anything that the other units above him aren't. People just like him because he's full AoE, and I think he's 4 placement, but there's nothing super noteworthy of him. His max upgrade is a full AoE multi-hit, and normally I'd be really impressed, but nowadays every unit that's good has full AoE or multi-hit or something crazy to make them good. So this guy, you know, I'm not getting out of bed in the morning looking forward to use this guy. He's just B tier. Up next we have Warrior Queen, and she's also going to be sitting firmly at B tier. I'll put her above Muscular Sorcerer, even though these guys are essentially the exact same unit. They're both 4 placement, and they're both full AoE on max upgrade. But actually, no, this guy's better than her because she does single hit full AoE on max upgrade, which does hurt her. But, yeah. Warrior Queen. She's a decent mythic. 4 placement. Okay damage. Full AoE. B tier. Now we have Cursed Berserker Paladin, and I believe this guy deserves to be at A tier, top of A tier. Or, the thing is, I don't want to put him in S tier with the other secrets, and I'll tell you guys why. Number one, he is a ground only unit. The rest of these guys are hybrid, meaning you can take them into any type of content in the game and they're going to be able to steamroll with absolutely no issue. This guy can't. This guy needs other units to be good. And don't get me wrong, he's a secret. He's good. His gimmick is that he has a 40% crit chance innately. That's just what he has. No trait, no nothing needed. And he does like good damage. He's meta ground. Don't get me wrong. But is he S tier? Is he the cream of the crop? No. I really don't think he is. And that's why we're going to put him at A tier. Also, now that I'm looking at this list, having Proficient Sharpshooter in the same league as a secret is kind of crazy. So we're going to bump her down to like middle of B tier. Maybe like high B tier, but yeah, I think Proficient Sharpshooter does not deserve to be at A tier. After I'm like going through this list, I'm like, maybe a secret unit isn't as good as an outdated mythical. Yeah. But anyways, he's insanely good DPS for a ground unit. He's meta ground, but just doesn't stack up as well as the other secrets. Up next, we have the Rift Sorcerer, aka Gojo, easy S tier. I want to put him at top of S, but I'm not going to. I'll put him at like very, very high S. I do believe Dragon Wizard is better than him in terms of pure damage, but this guy might be better in terms of versatility because he slows. So yeah, this guy is a 2 placement unit, full AoE. He slows on max upgrade. He's a hybrid. Insane damage. Pretty cheap for a secret. He only costs 1500. This guy costs 5000. So keep that in mind. Overall, he's a really, really good unit. One of my personal favorites. And I feel pretty good putting him at the top of S tier. Now, we have Queen Swordmaster. I've seen some showcases of her. And correct me if I'm wrong, she's a ground unit only, not even hybrid. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You're going into B tier. I don't even think she does good damage either. From the showcases that I've seen, like, she does decent damage. Don't get me wrong, she's a mythic, so obviously she will be doing decent damage, but nothing to really excite anyone. Nothing to write home about, so we're going to put her at B tier. Chance King. My oh my. Chance King fall off needs to be studied. I'm tempted to put this guy below Bear King. And here's why. Hikari's main gimmick, Chance King's main gimmick, is that he does a lot of damage. And that's literally it. He has no special unique trait that makes him a secret. Now, I might be wrong on this. I've read some of my YouTube comments and some of you guys say that he has like a chance of doing extra damage if he hits a jackpot on his main attack. You know, I'll let you guys correct me on the comments, but as far as I know, he's a secret with no gimmick. Like, his gimmick is that he does a lot of damage. And he's not even that good at it because there are other secrets here that do more damage than him. So, I mean, he's an update 0 secret, which is why he's a little outdated compared to the newer stuff that we have. But he's not even that, like, he's ground. So he can't even hit airs. He's pretty expensive, 2500 to place. He's still doing good damage. So I guess I won't put him below Bear King. Even though Bear King is a hybrid, and is a full AoE, and is bleed, and is probably more versatile than this guy. You know, out of respect for him being a secret, I won't put him below Bear King, but he is going to be at A tier, definitely below a Guts. I think this is what he's supposed to be. But yeah, Hikari Falloff needs to be studied, and they need to buff this guy badly. I heard that the devs were going to buff Igris, even though Igris is already fine. He's already really good. Like, bro, buff Hikari, bro. This dude sucks. He's in dire need of a buff. Anyways, up next, the Curse Knight unlocked, easy S tier. And if I'm ranking them, I'd say he's above Legion Captain, but not better than these two guys. So, what does the Curse Knight do? Number one, he is the only secret in the game that applies fear. If you don't know what fear does, basically, he just hits an enemy, they get a little, like, smiley face on top of them, and that means that they're gonna... Sorry guys, my mic cut off. As I was saying, he places fear on the enemy. Any enemy that has fear inflicted on them takes more damage, making him one of the best support units in the game, so he doubles his meta support, but he also does insane damage. He's full AoE, and his max level upgrade is like a big nuke ability. And he's like one of the only secrets in the game with a damage ability. I think he has the best damage ability in the game currently. And it got buffed this update. I believe the devs said that they were going to buff him, and they already did. Or they're going to do it in the future. I don't know. Easy S tier though. Great unit. He's a must-have secret. He's not a hybrid, but it doesn't hurt him too much because the niche that he falls under, he like... is very, very good at what he does, which is applying the curse effect to all the enemies and doing good damage. Anyways, up next we have Legion Assassin Master. Is he meta support? He's okay. I guess I'll put him in meta support. This guy is one of the new exclusive banner units, and I believe he's hybrid. His ability, I'm looking it up right now. He has an ability called Legion. No, he has an ability called Assassin Mist, and it grants all units in his range a 30% crit chance buff, which is pretty good. 30% crit chance actually does help your DPS a lot, way more than range ever will. And on top of that, he's hybrid, so he's going to be able to help out with any type of enemy. We'll put him in meta support. He's pretty easy to get to, all things considered, so he'll stay in meta support. Slime Spirit Queen. This is probably the most valuable secret in the game. I think she's the most valuable unit in the game. Actually, I don't think I know. Like, in terms of trading, like, if this was a trading tier list, she would have her own tier. But this is an overall how good are they tier list. I don't even think that Slime Spirit Queen is a hybrid unit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me look her up on the wiki right now. Yeah, she's a ground unit. Ground unit, and she's doing like mythical unit level damage. We're gonna put her at like the top of B tier. Actually, we'll put her like bottom of A tier. But like for a secret, she doesn't really qualify as a secret in my eyes. The only reason that she is a secret is because she's a leaderboard unit, and in terms of like usability, she's still good. You know, you'll still be able to kill stuff with her and beat stuff, like beat game modes with her, but for me, she's either like bottom of A tier or like top of B tier. She is not that good. She's the novelty more than anything. She's just a trading thing. Like, if you're a trader, you love her, but I don't care for her. Anyways, Pink Rockstar, meta support. Why? Well, number one, she buffs all your units' damage by 20%, anyone that's in her range. She makes a lot of money, more money than Bloomer, I think, or slightly less, but her damage ability is what really carries her. So she doubles as meta support and a moneymaker unit. Can't go wrong with her. In fact, I'd probably place her right here. Yeah, good support unit. Cursed Fighter. Honestly, I'm going to put this guy at meta support. Meta support above... Oh, wait, hold on. That's the wrong unit. Meta support above Ice Dragon Queen and Donut Master, and here's why. Yes, he's not hybrid. I understand that. But he is the only unit in the game that applies fear besides Igris. And most people aren't going to be able to get Igris. He's a secret unit. He's incredibly expensive. He costs like 2.4 million to get. If you check the wrap on him right now, it's just skyrocketing like crazy because of inflation. So that's the case for all the secrets, but this guy specifically, it's pretty annoying to get him. He's expensive. So for people that want to have a good support unit that applies fear, their only avenue, like quite literally their only way of doing that, is with Cursed Fighter. And for that purpose that he serves it extremely well. He's full AoE on max upgrade. He applies fear. What more could you want from a support unit? This guy is a must-have support. Make sure you have at least one copy of this guy on your team, because there's no reason not to have him. If you have an Igris, disregard what I said. Don't ever use this guy, but most people aren't going to have an Igris. So this guy's definitely meta support. Next up, Ice Mage. I'm going to put this dude in support. Probably worse than Chief of Ice, but yeah, Ice Mage. This guy used to be gray or clay, but after all the remodels and the renamings, you couldn't even tell. So what does he do? He's 4 placement. He slows. He has big AoE. Don't count on this guy to be your damage dealer because he's a rare unit, but he is support. He's good at what he does, and that's slowing down units. Up next, we have the Pro Gamer. Now, this guy, I really like this dude, and technically he's a hybrid because the units that he summons can hit air units. Do I think he's better than Legion Captain? Probably. Do I think he's better than Igris? That's debatable. Still, he's an S tier unit. Very good. He has a unique ability where he can summon units. Every unit that he kills, he summons them as a minion. He's the only unit in the game that can do that. Legion Captain summons units, but she just does that by herself. She doesn't need to kill anything. This guy does very good damage. He does full AoE on the 3rd upgrade, and then on the 5th upgrade, he has this like full AoE that's multi-hit. And the main thing that hurts him for me is that his max upgrade is a line AoE. Oh, brother. That is just so unfortunate. But I don't think the devs are ever going to change that. And as it stands, he's still pretty good for most content in the game. He's an incredibly expensive secret. Like, he's one of the most coveted secrets in the game. But he's not, like, as expensive as Igris just because you can get him anytime. He's a standard banner secret. Anyways, Shadow Dragon unlocked. Ooh. Is he better than Gojo? I think he is. I think this might be the best secret in the game. Here's the reason that I'm going to say that. Number one, he's hybrid. He's doing more damage than Gojo. I don't think he has a slow ability, but he's full AoE just like Gojo. More damage, hybrid unit, and he has a special innate ability, or like a little special ability that you can toggle on and off. And that ability is called, let me look it up on the wiki. It's called Otherworldly Power. Upon usage, this ability grants 25% more range and 15% less cooldown for all units in his range. It lasts for 20 seconds and it goes on 80-second cooldown, but if you have him on max upgrade, it's 50 seconds. That buff ability, plus all the other things that I mentioned, make him an incredibly meta unit. Insane for literally anything in the game. And do I think he's better than Gojo? This is debatable. Gojo and Shadow Dragon are interchangeable for me. In fact, I'm not giving Dragon Wizard enough credit. He might be better than both these guys, but as it stands, these are the big three. Big three damage secrets. Shadow Dragon, I'm going to put him at the top of S tier. If you disagree, and you want to give me some reasoning as to why he's not at the top of S tier better than all the other units, let me know. But personally, I just think he's the best. And our very last unit, we are going to end it off with a bang. It is the new, one of the brand new portal units that we got in this update. What is his name? I believe he is Demon Lord, right? I think that's what his name is. Yeah, the Demon Overlord. There we go. I wasn't even reading his name. I'm dumb. So this guy, meta support, top of meta support, probably the most meta support out of all meta supports. Why? Well, he's a secret, so obviously he's going to be doing good damage. Unfortunately, he's only a ground, so he's not going to help out with air units. He does have an innate ability where all units within his range get a 50% bleed buff. 50% bleed damage buff. He's the only secret in the game that does this. And I think this bleed buff only applies to bleed units. I don't think he just gives every unit in his range bleed damage. I don't believe that's how it works. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless of whether I'm wrong or not, this guy is an incredibly good support unit. He's just outright buffing your bleed units by 50%, which is huge. And barring that, barring his support ability, he's still a secret that does good damage. So he's definitely going into meta support. Looking at this tier list, I believe I'm happy with how this tier list looks. This is in order from worst to best. Top of S tier being who I think is the best unit in the game. Bottom of D tier, who I think is the current worst unit in the game. And let me do a quick recap. All of S tier is the best of the best. The most meta of the most meta. Make sure you try and get these guys as soon as you can because they're goated. They're insane. They're just amazing units. Meta support is also must-have. Like, especially Pink Demon Mage, Pink Rockstar, your slow units, Cursed Fighter. These guys are must-have units. They're meta support. They're going to be aiding all of your other units and being able to deal more damage or stall out longer, maybe kill some air units because some of these guys are hybrids. Very, very good. Support. Some of these guys aren't a must-have. Like, I'd say Bloomer is the only must-have unit that's in the support tier, and then the rest of these guys aren't required. They're still support units that do their job, but they just get outclassed by meta support. A tier. These guys are incredibly good. They're not the best of the best, but they will serve you well, especially if you're a beginner. Get Bear King unlocked, get Flame Dragon God, or get Crimson Demon Ninja, it's up to you. But yeah, A tier is meta, like, they're meta for what they do, like meta bleed, meta burn, meta ground, right? Meta ground DPS. They're just not the best of the best, in my opinion. They're still very good, don't get me wrong. Don't let A tier make you think that they're not worth it. All of these guys are worth it, besides Slime Spirit Queen. Don't spend 9 million gems on Slime Spirit Queen. The rest of these guys are worth it. Except Hikari, don't buy a Hikari. I think you should save your gems. Anyways, B tier. These guys are good, but kind of situational. They either get outclassed by units that are in the higher tiers, or they're just not that good to begin with. Do I think you should summon for these guys or try to get them? Nah. I don't think they're worth your time. I think you should just focus on getting A tier and above units. Like, just do everything in your power to get these guys instead. Don't get me wrong, if you have them, they'll serve you well. Keep them. Don't sell them, obviously. Next up, C tier, these guys, they fell off. They're just not good anymore. Not worth using in my opinion. D tier, don't summon for these guys at all. Don't waste your gems. Don't waste your evo materials. These guys aren't good. So, that is gonna conclude our Update 4 unit tier list. We have ranked every single secret through mythical, through support unit in this game from worst to best. This is the finished tier list. If you guys agree with the tier list, disagree with the tier list, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to learn more about your opinions, and who knows, maybe you might change my mind, and it'll be for the better, because next time I make a tier list, I'll be more informed. But, alright, my bad, my mic cut off. What was I saying? As of right now, I think my tier list is pretty spot on, all things considered. There's not too many things that I think are debatable here. And that's going to wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, learned anything new, or liked hearing me talk about the game, please like, sub, comment, all that wonderful, wonderful stuff. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Stay tuned for more content, and we will catch you in the next one.